What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video on what if Deku had the power of the 4 heavenly beasts part 2. Now, before we jump into this what if, I just want to do my quick announcement. Yes, we have a new announcement. Go down into the link in the description down below. There'll be a link in there. That link will take you below the description. That'll take you to my gaming channel. We posted the first video on that today. I want y'all to go check it out. Subscribe to do whatever you can. Let's see if we can hit a decent amount of subscribers. Let's see if we can hit 100 a day. Do you guys think we can hit 100 in a day? I believe you guys can. So go down there, click that link in the description, and click the subscribe button over there. I want to blow away the competition, okay? And by competition, the two other personnel that are going to appear in that video are other YouTubers that tend to do gaming content, and both of them have channels of their own, and I want to beat them. I want to have the bigger subscriber count. So if you guys think you can do that, go down into the comment section down below and click that subscribe button. And Discord shoutouts. Let's go again with thank you to Sniper Masters, Sir Black Knight of Cool, and CK47. Thank you all for joining the Discord. If you guys want to, you guys can go join the Discord. I do some other things, like we chat there, we play Among Us there, and we play Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links. Not to mention, if you guys are part of my Discord, you have a way better chance of appearing in one of my videos over on my gaming channel, which I do content with the Discord like Among Us. So if you guys think you guys would enjoy that, go over there. And go ahead and go click the little subscribe button. And join the Discord. Now let's jump straight into this what if. Izuku woke up the next morning, feeling rather refreshed. You know, his day started off a pretty positive one, so he felt good about the time as it was. Izuku eventually ended up going out. He wanted to continue to train his white tiger form, seeing how it was still a relatively new power and a power that he hadn't mastered yet. He almost had complete understanding of his black turtle form, but he had almost no understanding of his white dragon, and Izuku figured if he could understand both these forms by 10 months, he should be able to accurately fight against most of his opponents. Izuku went to the forest and changed into his white tiger form. And I do want to explain, his quirk is not like a fighting style. Like, he physically becomes like a humanoid tiger or a humanoid turtle when he transforms into these quirks. Transforms into these different forms. I did want to explain this just for people that was still kind of confused in the comment section of the last video. Izuku transformed into his white tiger form, as white fur began to grow across his entire body, as well as a tail started to grow out of his behind, and 2 ears popped out of his head. Izuku's eyes color went from his general green eyes that he usually has to more of a blacker color, unlike his turtle form, which they stayed green in. Izuku then got black stripes all over his fur. Izuku moved his body around a little bit, trying to see how this form felt. He found that the form itself felt pretty relaxing and, well, without a lack of a better word, pretty positive. It felt refreshing compared to his previous form, which eventually began to feel annoying, seeing how many times he was quickly defeated by either Bakugo or someone else who worked quicker. So having a form that could match other people's speed was on a plus side for him. He then looked around at the surrounding forest he was in. He had decided to train out of forest mainly just because there was no reasoning to train anywhere else. He ended up starting to slowly move his arms and stuff. He found himself in a peculiar stance when he began to prepare to fight. almost like a tiger approaching his prey, Deku chose to stay mainly lower close to the ground, rather than being in an upright position. Izuku decided that this was probably mainly because of his, well, more tiger-like features kicking in, being a simple basic attack strategy for personnel that seem to have cat or tiger-like capabilities. Izuku eventually prepared to attack on a tree. He went towards the tree and took a swipe at it, making a large dent in what used to be a complete tree. His claws seemed to be able to easily cut through things. Then again, this could be mainly because of Izuku's quirk kicking in and not much else. Eventually, Izuku ended up constantly attacking the object itself. It was pretty simple. Izuku found it to be quite invigorating that he was able to easily take out his opponents. Of course, Izuku didn't like being able to just easily take out his opponents without any issue. So the pure idea that he was just okay with it was a false one at that. Eventually, Izuku ended up finding out that his capabilities seemed to be slightly stronger than the ones that he had first thought he had. He found out that in his white tiger form, he seemed to have really increased agility, much more than what he had previously thought. It also seemed like he could send out small wind blades out of his claws. Of course, the wind blades only being able to travel about 5 meters didn't help much. Izuku also realized that there was a time limit with this form. Unlike his previous turtle form, which he seemed to be able to hold forever, then again, Izuku never really holded it more for an hour, so he never really realized that maybe there was a timer on that form too. But using his tiger form for about around 30 minutes, he reverted back to his human form. Izuku thought this was quite weird, and thought about how maybe it's because he hasn't mastered this form to where he can't stay in it for a longer period of time. Izuku resolved himself to continue training. Over the rest of the time, he slowly started to get better increased time with his tiger form, now gauging 45 minutes. Izuku also activated his turtle form and seeing how long he could stay in that form. Izuku eventually found out that his turtle form could last for 3 hours. And Izuku had complete mastery over it. He knew almost everything about his turtle form, or at least he thinks he knows almost everything about his turtle form. Izuku was kind of shocked by this and understood that the base reasoning for it was kind of obvious. Izuku's capabilities seemed to be quite strong, and the pure fact that he now seemed to have a better understanding of his form seemed to be a contradiction to that. Eventually, Izuku decided that if he does end up unlocking a new form, that will be probably it. If he does have a new form, though, it would be kind of weird, because that would mean there would be another new quirk that Izuku just doesn't know about, or another new form he doesn't know about. Izuku thought it was kind of weird about that, thinking about if there was more things to his quirk that he didn't know, what could they be? What could the power be that allowed it to, well, continue evolving the way it has? Izuku thought that maybe it could be allowing him to get increasingly stronger. Izuku knew he had no way to fight opponents in the air, and currently didn't need to know a way to fight opponents in the air. So he really didn't worry much about it. But Izuku eventually knew that he would have to come up with a solution and a way to solve his issue with not being able to fight people who were Skyborn. Izuku looked around in the forest after his 10 months of training. He had eventually figured out that his capabilities seemed to be able to allow him to do anything that he so wishes. Well, not really, but almost no one could really defeat him. Most people that could try would end up getting blocked by his turtle form or getting, well, outmaneuvered by his white tiger form. Then again, Izuku started to have issues with Bakugo, who seemed to like to stay in the air now, mainly because he couldn't beat Izuku very easily on the ground. Izuku ended up deciding that there wasn't much he could do now. The simplest point of it was that Bakugo was in his air and Izuku couldn't fight. Izuku and Bakugo had fostered a better relationship over this time. A lot more of a commendable one than the hatred-filled one it seemed to have been priorhand. Eventually, Bakugo ended up asking Izuku what classroom does he, plan on trying to be in. Izuku stated that, of course, he would be heading for Class 1A. He wanted to make it there mainly just because, for the simplest fact that if he does make it there, then he could actually, feel proud about how much he had mastered over his quirk. Of course, training your quirk illegally is not an okay thing, and Izuku knew this, but he also knew that his quirk is very powerful and that he should train it even against the will of other people. Eventually, Izuku decided that training his quirk anymore would be quite useful. But he also knew that tomorrow was the next day that they needed to be prepared for. He knew that he had to go ahead and go prepare to take the test, and so did Bakugo. So Bakugo ended up stating that him and Izuku will take the test together. Izuku was pretty happy about this, because Bakugo had seemingly finally warmed up to him. It had been a while since Bakugo had warmed up to Izuku, or what Izuku counted as warming up. But now it seems like Bakugo was way more open to even chatting and conversing with Izuku. Izuku and Bakugo both went there to the entrance exam test for, the Hero Academy. MHA. UA. But Bakugo and Izuku both found the written test to be kind of easy. Not very much of an issue. Izuku and Bakugo both found out that they would be in different areas for their practical exam. So Bakugo decided to tell Izuku that they were going to have a bet. Whoever won the most wins. Izuku thought that that was relatively fair, because whoever gets the most points obviously would be the dictating winner. So Izuku agreed, much to the excitement of Bakugo. Bakugo fist bumped Izuku as they both walked away to their own personal areas. Izuku wasn't mumbling, but mainly told himself to remember to control his quirk, when, strangely enough, a man with blue hair ended up reprimanding Izuku for his actions. Izuku looked at the man kind of confusingly and saw that he had quirk legs, or engines on his legs, that were very similar to the Hero Ingenium. Izuku decided that he would not question the man any further, and just went back to his decisive mumbling, much to the man's dismay. Eventually, Izuku prepared himself for the fight, and the gates opened. Nothing had happened for 3 seconds until suddenly, the man who was announcing stuff, known as Present Mike, came over the microphone and told them, "What are they waiting for? Heroes do not wait in combat." and told him to go, 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 go. His own words, of course. Izuku quickly transformed into his white tiger form. He could hold this form for 45 minutes and figured that should be more than enough time to keep into it, as well as him changing in between his white tiger and his black turtle forms. This should allow him to keep at least a transformation the entire time, allowing him to maximize his damage potential. Izuku knew that there were 4 different bots, except for the 4th one being more of an obstacle. It seemed to be for 0 points, so there's really no point on even trying to fight against it, while the other 3 bots were relatively okay. Izuku took out some 1-pointers pretty easily, as well as some 2-pointers. His white tiger form allowed him to keep agility and quickly dash throughout the entire area. Most of the teachers were delighted to see that a student had such well mastery over their quirk. They had obviously seen that Izuku had taken very much time to develop his own fight style with his quirk, and were shocked to see him have his black form, which he really didn't use very often, mainly because this fight worked best with speed and not stability. They saw that when he did transform into a black form, though, almost no attack could move him, almost like an immovable fortress. This also seemed to be a strength feat as well, because it seems like his strength could literally hold up against the entire world. Eventually, Izuku ended up hearing rumbling. He looked around to see where the rumbling came from and saw a giant robot approaching his location. Izuku transformed into his white tiger form and prepared to start running away, but then he heard someone cry out, "Help!" Izuku looked to see who it was and saw that it was a girl. Izuku instantaneously transformed back into his white tiger form and rushed over to the girl's side. And then quickly, using his claws, diced the boulder into shreds, and then picked up the girl and ran away with her at impressive speeds. Afterwards, he transformed into his black turtle form, noticing that they weren't far enough away to actually make sure not to get attacked by the thing itself. He then decided to use his black turtle form, and when the robot came in to punch him, Izuku absorbed all the kinetic energy and transformed it into potential energy, and also softened the shockwaves around him to make sure no one else would get injured. And then he sent a fist clearing back at the robot itself, and centered all the shockwaves on some of what Izuku thought to be the more sensitive parts in the arm at the elbow location. To people appearing outside, it seemed like Izuku just did nothing for the first few seconds, until eventually the area where the robot's elbow was exploded, causing the robot's arm to fall to the ground. Izuku was able instead, thankfully, use all of his strength to pick up this arm and chuck it from crushing him, and as well as Uraraka, or as well as the girl. Izuku then ended up quickly picking up Uraraka and running over to the healing station, asking Recovery Girl to help treat her. And President Mike called the time right there and then. Izuku was pretty pleased with what he had gotten. The girl also gave her thanks to Izuku, and Izuku told her that she was welcomed and that he only did what a hero should do. He then ended up walking away. Izuku went back to his room after meeting back up with Bakugo, and Bakugo and Izuku both explained that they both had a pretty fun time. Bakugo explained when he found the 0-pointer that he tried to take it on, but his explosions weren't strong enough. Izuku stated that he had used his black turtle form against the robot and got practically lucky, being able to center the shockwaves nearby one of the joints of the robot to cause it to explode. Eventually, Bakugo and Izuku both parted ways, Bakugo leaving back to his house while Izuku stayed in his own. And then Izuku drifted off to sleep. So if you liked it, guys, hit the like button. If you enjoyed it, hit the subscribe button. Go check out my other channel. And until next time, goodbye.